You're a startup founder. Finding product market fit is probably your number one priority. But to land bigger customers, you also need security compliance. Obtaining your SOC 2 or ISO 27001 certification can open those big doors, but they take time and energy, pulling you away from building and shipping. That's where Vanta comes in. Vanta is the all-in-one compliance solution helping startups get audit ready and build a strong security foundation, quickly and painlessly. Vanta automates the manual security tasks that slow you down, helping you streamline your audit. The platform connects you with trusted experts to build your program, auditors to get you through audits quickly, and a marketplace for essentials like pen testing. So whether you're closing your first deal or gearing up for growth, Vanta makes compliance easy. Join over 8,000 companies, including Y Combinator and Techstar startups who trust Vanta. For a limited time, get $1,000 off Vanta at vanta.com/simplify. That's VANTA.com/simplify for $1,000 off.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Jacob Minter. Good job with the shot, and the Slough Jets have taken the lead on the power play. With 20 minutes with the shot cross goal. No need for the save from Lorde, and Campbell finds himself in, and it's 3-1 to the Chelmsford Chieftains.
Hello and welcome to Zero Pucks Given, the UK Ice Hockey Podcast. We're in partnership with the Hockey Art Co., hockey clothing for hockey people, worn by the best and hated by the rest. Listeners to Zero Pucks Given get a 10% discount on everything site-wide from hockeyartclothing.co.uk. Just use the code ZP10. We are also in partnership with Manscaped, the globally recognised male grooming brand with top-of-the-range products such as the Lawnmower, the Weed Whacker, the Dome Shaver Pro and the Beard Hugger. You can get 20% off of all of the products from manscaped.com when you use the code 0pucks20. That also includes free shipping, so an absolute no-brainer. We are also part of the Sport Social Podcast Network, the largest sport podcast network in Europe, boasting over 500 podcasts from more than 20 different sports, and we're delighted that Zero Pucks Given and ZPG Ice Maidens is a part of it. Well, hello, welcome along. This is episode 155. I'm Ben, and this is Zero Pucks Given. This week is, of course, a bit of a Cup Final special episode after the Britain Cup Final took place over the weekend. I was at both games. Both games had terrific atmospheres. The hockey was great. And obviously, as a Chelmsford fan, I was quite happy with the outcome as well. We're also going to touch on all of the other Cup Finals that took place this week in the Morley, in the Wilkinson and the Laidler. So we'll keep you up to date with everything that went on over the Cup Finals this week. And we've got a couple of league games that took place as well. News in UK ice hockey this week, none any bigger really than the England under-13s taking the trophy in the Pee Wee tournament over in Quebec. It's probably the most prestigious Pee Wee tournament in the world, and the under-13 boys went in there and did the stuff and come home with the trophy. So massive congratulations to everybody involved with the team that was out there, including obviously all the players, the coaches and the parents that were out there as well. I did get a message a couple of weeks ago from a dad who wanted to give a little shout out to some of his kids that were out there, to Casey, Platten and Ralph. Congratulations to you all. Savour those memories. I'm sure they will live for long in your minds. And a massive shout out to Ben Pitchley as well, one of the coaches that was out there. He's one of our little drinking club buddies from Twitter. So fantastic stuff to see all that going on out in Canada. And then moving on to sort of news from the podcast then, we've got the quiz. The quiz is now live. If you want to win tickets to the Steel City Showdown, that's going to be the national playoff finals for Division 1 and Division 2, happening at Ice Sheffield, 12th, 13th of April. One pair of weekend tickets is going to a Zero Pucks Given listener who can get 10 out of 10 on the quiz. If you want to enter on Instagram, just comment on the post. It should be pinned right at the very top of the profile. Comment tickets, please, and I will send you the link to the quiz. If you join in on Facebook or Twitter or Threads, the link should be in the post, and that post should also be pinned to be at the top of the page. So all the answers to the questions, they're out there. If you're a ZPG super fan, you should know them anyway. But all the answers are out there. Take the quiz as many times as you need to. Once you've got 10 out of 10, send me a screenshot. showing that you've got 10 out of 10, and I'll add your name to the list. And we will draw the winner live on Saturday night, March the 1st, during Hockey Night Live. We're doing our second edition of Hockey Night Live, covering everything that's going on as it happens in the NIHL structure in the UK. We will draw the winner out then live, and as I said, we will post it all, of course, on social media, so that if you have entered, you will know that you win, even if you are unable to join us on Saturday, because you probably are going to a game. Right then, there's no DOPS in the Britain Division this week, which is very, very nice. I've got a feeling that it won't be long until we're back in the DOPS news, possibly next week, actually, once we get through the games that are taking place this weekend. Some achievements that have happened over the past week or so. Luke Dreelan has racked up 200 league games for Slough Jets. Massive congratulations to Luke. That's a massive thing, considering you only get sort of maximum of 30 to 36 league games a year. That's a really, really great achievement from Luke. And for Mark Pitts for Solent Devils, in Sunday in the second leg of the Cup final, he will rack up his 200th appearance for the Solent Devils as well. So massive, massive congratulations to Mark Pitts for reaching that landmark. So what we're going to do then is we're going to go through the two games from the Cup final. The Solent Devils and the Chelmsford Chieftains went head-to-head over this Cup final weekend. Then we're going to have a look at the other two games that took place in the Britain Division, and then have a look at the other Cup finals. So we'll get started, as we normally do, when we can, the 5 p.m. face-off at Planet Ice in Gosport, the first leg of the Cup final, Solent Devils versus Chelmsford Chieftains, and we will start with the pre-match thoughts of Alex Murray and Lewis Clifford.
Pre-game at the Britain Cup final with Devils coach Alex Murray, are you using the playoff final as ammunition in this game?
I mean, it's a great opportunity for us. I think, we've probably reflected a little bit on our games against Chelmsford this year, and obviously the Cup final. And it's a bit of a motivation, I guess. But yeah, we're just excited to be here. I think there was the potential to look at 2 weeks off, January, Feb, and I'm not a big fan of playing more games, but we're here now. So and once you make the semis and get to the final, you don't want to do anything else but take that trophy home. So guys are really excited. We're happy to be here, and I know there's a lot of people that would rather be in our place. So fully focused and ready to go. Yeah.
Well, last year the playoff final was a one-off game in a neutral venue. When you've got 2 legs over one weekend, do you feel that you've got enough weapons in your home leg to use to make the tie go in your favour?
I mean, we're confident in the Riverside as well. We've had some great results over the years there as well. So
I've witnessed some,
I mean, we're a quite unique rink, but we're a rink that actually benefits some of your, Chelmsford's bigger goal scorers. They get more opportunities in this rink. And that was apparent in the last game they played here in the league a couple of weeks ago. So, I don't think against Chelmsford in particular, our ice is a benefit to us, because actually Chelmsford play it quite well. But we've been working really hard on trying to nullify some of their threats. We've been looking at the video. We've got, a certain plan today to try and, how do I kind of say it? Just to kind of reduce their threat. Their threat primarily are the Bartletts. Doesn't mean that other guys won't turn up and play good games, but primarily, they seem to come here and score 3-4 goals a game. So, we want to use the rink to our advantage. Chelmsford is probably one of the teams that don't mind playing here. But we have beaten them here, obviously, this year, and we should be beating teams at home anyway. So, overall, this first leg will obviously set the target quite nicely. We just want to make sure that we're there or thereabouts going into the Riverside tomorrow, and then anything can happen, really. Yeah,
over 2 legs, obviously, that emphasis is on tomorrow night, but then tonight making sure that the game is still on when we get in there for tomorrow night.
Yeah, you could kind of look at it 2 ways. You could try and want to focus on getting into a lead and how many goals you think. I don't think that's the case. I think, today is a time for the guys to be excited, our supporters to be excited. It's great for them, cup final hockey again. And we just want to make sure that we're in the game. And if we can go to the Riverside tomorrow with a lead, then great. If not, we didn't go to a lead to Slough at all. So, we're not, I'm not going to be putting pressure on the guys to be anywhere after tonight, but in the game, if that makes sense. So as long as we're there, thereabouts, we'll go to the Riverside and we'll be ready to play there too.
Yeah, you've got 2 teams here in the final that were both behind going into the second legs of the semi-finals. Mentally, that could make for a cagey game, do you think? Or do you think you're both going to go for each other?
No, I mean, as I said it before, it was crazy. After we'd won our game, obviously the Chelmsford and Streatham game was a little bit behind ours. And I think it was like 3-0, 4-0, and the guys were saying, they'll be all right, it'll be Streatham. And we'd be playing Streatham, then it got to 5, then it got to 6. I remember the guys were all on their phones in the room everyone's trying to refresh OT, and crazy kind of event for them. And that, I don't know if it kind of makes both teams feel a little bit more relaxed in the fact that, We're here now. We've made it. No one gave us a chance after the first legs, both teams. But there was a slight pressure, obviously, being in a final. But we're quite relaxed, and we're quite happy to be here, and we kind of see it as a great opportunity as opposed to the pressure of meeting the expectations of people. I don't think is what it is for Solent. I don't think it is that. I think our fans are happy that we're here, and we just want to make sure for ourselves and for them we want to go one more and give them that trophy that we've been missing the last couple of years.
Yeah, and as you've been saying over the last couple of weeks in your coach's thoughts, you've had a bit of a rough run where you've had a lot of players out through injury, suspension and illness, and it's resulted in not a lot of results. But last week you kind of got that revenge on Cardiff and turned the corner. Is it now refinding a form when you come into the
performance-wise we were okay. I just think we lacked a bit of being a bit clinical in those games. You look at the Cardiff away game, we outshot them, I think 55-60 to 20. It was just one of those games we just couldn't get the puck in the net, although we did. But Blaine obviously thought he doesn't like goalmouth scrambles and thinks that he has to blow the whistle. But we have been under the weather, we have been injured. I think in my head I was setting this as a return for most guys, and I think our lineup today is full. We've had to make some guys healthy scratches, which is a difficult decision. We've never had to do that. But everyone kind of was looking at this weekend as the date to be back for. Some got back last week and were able to get a game under their belt. Others are back in the lineup this week, and Bernie's done a fantastic job in getting everyone ready for the game. And we're excited with the lineup. It's made for some tricky conversations. We've dressed in 21 guys tonight, and there's guys that are not dressing tonight. So tricky situation, but it's a nice problem to have given the last couple of weeks. Yeah,
with two massive games at two sold out rinks, a great atmosphere ensured tonight here, absolutely, and then tomorrow in Chelmsford. I wish you all the best for it, mate.
Thank you very much, mate. No problem.
Pre-game at the Britain Cup final, we've spoken with Alex Murray. We're now with Lewis Clifford, Chieftain's coach. How much is the playoffs going to play into this game from last year? Do you think it's an ammunition?
Different season, different team. I don't think that has much bearing on what goes on over this weekend, to be honest.
I mean, over 2 legs, obviously that was one game, neutral venue.
Yeah.
Over 2 legs, you've really got to use the weapons that are at your disposal in the home and away rinks. Alex knows you guys are actually quite comfortable playing here.
I'd say comfortable. I think it's tough for anyone to come in here. We lost here earlier in the year. That's something that we have to bear in mind, not let it sort of consume our minds, but we have lost in here in recent past. We've also won in here in recent past. So it's not easy to come in. Obviously the advantage always lays with the team that trains here and plays here every week. It is unique from any other rig we play in, but we play half a game here and play half a game at home. So
is it really a weekend of 6 periods then?
It has to be. I think it has to be. Barring one team absolutely blowing the other team away in the first leg, where it becomes insurmountable. Very similar to what we did to Oxford last year in the playoffs, quarterfinals. We've got to play for 6 periods. We've got to play 2 proper games of hockey, and don't worry about tomorrow until tonight.
A few names back on the roster tonight. I've seen Ben Russell around the ring, Callum Wells back from suspension, looking pretty stacked for the roster.
Yeah, I mean we're as close as we can be to having everyone. Obviously Ollie's back now. He's missed a lot of time this season, and he's such a huge part of our team. Actually, when you think we've played most of the season without Ollie and without Ben, actually they'd be top 2 line players on any team in this league. We've done well to be where we are, I think. So starting getting more helpful bodies back in a line-up come this business end of the season that we're doing now is only ever going to be a good thing.
Well, particularly welcoming Ollie back into it, and we know that special teams can be really, really important down here. Is it going to be looking to avoid getting into penalty trouble yourselves?
That's always the plan. It can be tough in a ring like this where everyone's sort of jumping all over each other, and things get messy sometimes because there's not a lot of space out there. But I think in the year and a half that I've been here, the discipline has improved massively. We still have blips. I'm not going to pretend we don't, where we take too many minor penalties. But in the main, I think we are well disciplined, especially when there's trophies on the line. We'll make sure that discipline's paramount.
Is that something that the guys that were here last year, they've got that belief that they know they've got over the line before, and they can feed that into the rest of the team?
Yeah, I think so. I think I said to the boys this week that some players go a whole career without ever winning a trophy. Some very good players in lots of sports go whole careers where they're not in situations to win. And we've put ourselves into a situation to win a trophy now. And just like the guys in the other changing room across the way, it's a shame to not capitalise on that and take that, because you never know when the next one's going to come. It could be very soon, could be years, or never again. So, we're in a position now where we can win a trophy. We're going to be doing absolutely everything we can to try and win that trophy. But like I said, there's another team over the way that's going to be trying to do the exact same thing.
And two teams that came through semi-finals that they probably weren't expected to, especially after the first legs. I mean, they both came through in quite spectacular fashion.
Yeah, and I touched on that, the fact that this team beat South over two legs. They're no mugs, they're really not. They're a very good team, and playing a game in this rink is always a big leveller as well. And and obviously our semi-final was nuts, but it is what it is. I don't think there's a favourite. I think that it's two teams going head to head that will both be looking to win.
50-50 weekend in two sold-out rinks.
Yep.
Great for British hockey.
Yeah, it couldn't be better. When you've got something that people want to come and watch, whatever that is, and there's more people that want to get in the building than can fit in the building, then it's sort of success breeds interest, and I'm sure these guys are delighted to be getting a sold-out ring, just as the way we are. Money in the bank and everything else. And when there's teams struggling and rinks looking like they might close and things like that, it's good to see at this sort of second level of English hockey or third level of British hockey that we can draw crowds like this on the weekend.
Excellent. Well, Cliff, good luck over the weekend. Hopefully we'll come out on top with the trophy.
Yeah, thanks mate. Cheers.
Well, as the game got underway, it was quite clear actually that the first starts of the game were in Murray masterclass. Solent were really, really good attackingly. They were actually pushing Chelmsford right back into their defensive zone. When they broke out, they were able to recycle the puck really quickly and then carry on putting the pressure on. Very few chances in the first, although Chelmsford probably had the best one. Cam Bartlett forcing a really good glove save out of Aaron Taylor. But no goals in the first period. Both sides killing off a penalty as well, showing off their penalty kills. Into the second, though, and after Grant Bartlett took a roughing penalty on 25-28, as did Alan Lack, and as did Chris Necrosavicius, so Solent on the power play. They got a goal, they got ahead when Liam Coleman and Mark Pitts shifted the puck back from the offensive face-off to the blue line, the imaginary blue line, may I add. Well done to all the refs for actually getting through that game without seeing any lines. And Murray slashed it in from the blue line. It was a fantastic goal, right through the crowd. Lordo completely unsighted. Really was a good goal. And that gave the Solent Devils the lead, and it was quite deserved at that point as well. They kept putting the pressure on. They hit the post. Kane Russell got through on a one-on-one and hit the bar. They really were putting that pressure on. And as I said, every time that Chelmsford managed to push forward, the puck was recycled and they were put back down into their own defensive zone. So it was a Murray masterclass in the first two periods. As the Devils come out for the third period, they were on the power play after Dan Hitchings had taken a seat 13 seconds before the end of the second for an illegal equipment penalty. I believe his helmet wasn't done up, his chin strap. So he was in the box for the start of the third period. Just before he was about to come out, though, Jack Peacock got a penalty for handling the puck. So he went in and we had a little bit of 4-on-4. At that point, Chelmsford had an offensive face-off. And when Barnes Garner won the puck in the face-off and knocked it back to Grant Bartlett on the blue line, it was like a carbon copy of the Alex Murray goal, although a little bit harder and a little bit further in the corner. Where I was standing in the bottom corner by the DJ booth, if you've been to Planet Ice Gosport, I was providing some commentary on Spaces on Twitter for people that couldn't be there as the game was completely sold out. And the puck came like an arrow right into that top corner at some speed. It was an incredible goal to make it 1-1. But there was 1 second left on that Dan Hitchings penalty. I've seen it put somewhere that this was a power play goal. It wasn't. It was even-handed 4-on-4. And literally as soon as they scored and they restarted, Dan Hitchings then emerged. So the Chelmsford Chieftains went straight on the power play. They weren't able to quite take the lead on that power play, although putting an awful lot of pressure on. But just after it finished, again, putting that pressure on high, winning an offensive face-off, forcing a shot from Grant Bartlett that was fumbled by Taylor, and right on the money was Halden Barnes-Garner to knock the puck in just behind the goalkeeper as the puck squirmed behind him to give the Chieftains the lead on 43-46. So they switched the game around in 2 very short minutes at the start of that third period. And then there was a couple of errors that started to set in when Maltsev come forward down the Chieftains attacking left, flicking the puck through to TJ Fillery, and unfortunately for Jack Hoppers, he took a little bit of a sort of a stumble as he was skating backwards to block Fillery, who then went through one-on-one and finished it top shelf past Aaron Taylor. 6 minutes at the start of the third period that completely turned the cup tie on its head. With the Solent Devils having been so dominant in the opening 2 periods, the Chieftains just put it all to bed within inside 6 minutes. And then right at the end of the game, they managed to nick another one as well. Cam Buckle, unfortunately, stood on the puck whilst trying to clear it. Dixon Bartlett managed to poke it through towards goal, where Cam Bartlett got there just before Taylor and poked it past him for 4-1 on 57-55, I believe, actually. So right towards the end of the game. But a really, really intriguing cup tie. And to be perfectly honest, we talk about, and as we spoke about in the pre-match thoughts with both coaches about Solent using their rink and whatnot, it actually is a rink that doesn't really suit either team because they can both play really expansive possession-based hockey and really come up with some fantastic set plays, and there's just not the space to do it in there. So I was expecting actually a much better game to watch on the Sunday night. But I think Solent will probably be a bit disappointed to be heading up there with a 3-goal deficit. But considering how games have gone between the two this season and how Chelmsford have been at home this season, it certainly wasn't out of the question. There have been a few games where they've not started particularly well and found themselves behind and having to come back. So Devils always had that to hold on to. On a side note, I'd just like to thank the Solent Devils for hosting me as they did on Saturday night. It was an absolute pleasure to be down there. Finally got to meet the legend Lee Murray. He was down on the desk when I got there as well, so it was great to meet Lee. And so many lovely people down in Solent come up and said hello and just said really lovely things about the podcast. So it was great to meet everybody. I have met quite a few Solent fans a few times, actually, that I'm quite friendly with. So great bunch of people, and the atmosphere down there was absolutely unbelievable. We all know it's a small rink. We all know it only holds about 450. It was rammed absolutely to the rafters, from side to side, from front to back, apart from the little area around the back where no one can stand. But the noise was absolutely phenomenal. I think there was upwards of 175 Chieftain fans that actually travelled down to Solent for the Saturday night, as well as all the home fans making noise as well. It was an incredible atmosphere. Massive hats off to both sets of fans for that. Looking at the stats from the game, it did come out quite tight. Solent outshot the Chieftains by 37-30. The penalty plays were quite even. The penalty kills were relatively good, actually. The only power play goal coming was the Solent goal at the first goal of the game in the second period. So a lot to look forward to as we go into the second period, where, as I said in the first bit as well, Mark Pitts will be making his 200th appearance for the Solent Devils in that second leg. So everybody headed back up the A3, found a little way around the closures on the M25 for a Sunday night second leg at the Riverside in Chelmsford. This game seemed to sort of, it started going before it even started going. There was a little bit of a melee in the warm-up. I think it might have been something between Ollie Cackett and Richie Pickering. I haven't spoken to anybody involved yet to get a proper line on that, but there was certainly a lot of excitement happening on the ice during the warm-ups, as well as both teams faced off in the centre before the game had even started. Once the game did get underway, as I'd said about yesterday, it was quite clear that the bigger pad was actually suiting both teams because they were both setting up plays from behind their own goal. Really good forward motion from both sides. The forechecks were really good as well. And they were forcing each other into playing really well. And rather than forcing each other into errors, it was just showing off how good these two teams are, and a great advert for hockey at this level. The Devils, though, are the ones that started to sort of push a little bit further, and Liam Coleman actually gave them the lead when he come across from the left-hand side across the high slot and finished really well past Jordan Lauday on 12:01 to give the Devils the lead. On a delayed penalty goal, they were just waiting for the hand had gone up. Taylor had made his way to the bench and they were coming forward with the puck. And Coleman made there no need to stop the game and give the penalty. He put them 1-0 up. And then from the restart, they continued to pressure. And when Cam Buckle had a shot, it was brilliantly pad saved by Lauday. But Kane Russell was Johnny on the spot, and he managed to pick the puck up and slide it home for 2-0. At that point, it started to get a little bit of like nitty gritty, and you could kind of see that, especially from Captain Alan Lack, telling the guys, don't get dragged down into this. This is what they want. And I think that was the whole game actually kind of ridden on what the next goal was then. I think had Solent gone 3-0 up, we could have actually seen a massive, massive change in how the game went. But into the second period, the Chelmsford Chieftains really composed themselves and they got themselves back into the tie. Of course, they were still ahead on the night with the 3-goal advantage from the game before. Dan Hitchens sort of chucking one towards goal from the blue line that went all the way through on 27-24 to make it 2-1. Literally 40 seconds later, as the Chieftains were actually coming on a power play after a confrontation between Alex Murray and Halden Barnes-Garner, Murray found himself taking a seat for roughing. that Cam Bartlett and Grant Bartlett combined, and when Cam Bartlett's shot was saved, rebounded, really tight angle from Horden Barnes-Garner. Fantastic finish for the power play goal to make it 2-2 on 28:04. And then about a minute after that, Dylan Dix managed to sort of lob one up towards the goal, and Ollie Baldock managed to get there between two defenders and poke it past Aaron Taylor to give the Chieftains the lead on the night. The second wasn't done there, though, when Solent got on the power play after Cameron Bartlett was sat for a charging call on Perella Fox. They work their power play so well. They're a very well drilled side, and as we said, on that bigger ice, they can really move the puck around really well. And Pitts and Murray assisted Cam Buckler, who scored from a really tight angle to make it 3-3 on 32:36 with a power play goal. And it still wasn't done there. As the Chieftains pushed at the end of the second, Callum Perella Fox lobbed the puck right up the side of the benches on the left-hand side for the Devils. And as it dropped over the blue line, Coleman went in, picked it up, skated across the slot and finished really well to give the Devils a 4-3 lead on the night. Still, of course, that 2-goal deficit to pull back. And into the third, it was an incredibly professional and mature performance from the Chieftains, knowing the Devils had to come at them. They defended really, really well, and the way that they attacked kind of in stages meant they didn't get broken on. There was not really many odd man rushes. There was one occasion where I think it was Liam Coleman had got in down the right-hand side all on his own, and it was well saved. But it was an incredibly professional performance. Into the last 10 minutes, and Mikey Power made it 4-4 on the night with a really good finish from the right-hand circle. Before, with the Devils putting on a lot of pressure, Callum Wells managed to poke the puck out of the D zone, crossed the neutral zone with Ollie Baldock, and as he got into the attacking zone, he was 2-on-1. He had Barnes-Garner to his left, shifted the puck. He finished it beautifully into the bottom corner, and that was all she wrote. 5-4 on the night, giving the Chieftains a 9-5 victory on aggregate to take the Britain Cup. 2 cups in 2 seasons for Lewis Clifford, an absolutely incredible achievement, and I'm sure it was probably part of his mandate when he came in was to win silverware. And to win the first one that's going in the season can only really give you a boost into the rest of the season. So from what was a fantastic weekend, let's hear Alex Murray's thoughts on the Cup final.
Yeah, so this weekend just gone was our Cup final weekend against Chelmsford, and yeah, bitterly disappointed with the result of that and how that kind of played out. That said, I'm incredibly proud of my team. I've never been more proud than the group of guys, with the group of guys this weekend and our fan base. They've all been incredibly great. And I'm just so disappointed that I was unable to help lead the way in bringing a cup back to Solent, which we so desperately deserve, and I reflect over the weekend, albeit it's only been, less than 12 hours or whatever it is, 16 hours in sending this over to you. And I just felt we didn't maybe get the bounces at key points. That's not blaming anyone else. It's, yes, on Saturday at 0-0, hitting the post twice on the power play, at 1-0, hitting the crossbar. And then a flurry of goals in the third at home on Saturday really, really stifled us, and I felt unfair. We probably dominated the first and second more than they dominated the third, and yet we ended up on the end of a 4-1 scoreline on Saturday, and that in itself is credit to them. They score goals at will, and I spoke to Cliff at the end of Sunday, and just one thing we've got to learn is how we try and just stifle that momentum. But the guys showed tremendous resilience, courage. No one in our room felt the game was done. And after the first on Sunday, we definitely were back in that game. We played a great first period, and I think we knew that the pressure was going to come, and a real strange penalty on myself in the second led to a power play goal to them, which I think took it 2-2, quickly after 3-2, and we were a bit stunned. But again, my team showed tremendous resilience and pushed back to 4-3. And at that point at 4-3, we're 2 goals down going into, the final throws of the third, and we had to make a decision. We probably, in a real game, see that game out. But knowing that we've got to get 2-3 more goals, we had to push. by pushing it, left us vulnerable at the back, and succumbed to a defeat, an overall defeat, and the guys were pretty deflated after that. I think we've been to many cup finals in my tenure as coach, and unfortunately our win percentage is not great, and that's on me, and I feel a burden on that, and it's it's just a frustrating thing. I am proud, and the comments from everyone and our fan base, really help us, and we do punch above our weight, but that doesn't kind of meet the need of what we deserve to give our fan base and what we're striving to achieve. So, look, to conclude, congrats to Cliff and Chelmsford on their victory. Thank you to all of our supporters, home and away. I mean, yesterday's away support was absolutely mind-blowing, incredible. And a massive thank you to my team who've put themselves on the line, playing through injuries, gave their all, and we're just so sorry that we came up slightly short. And now we turn our attention towards the end of the season, 6 games left and then playoffs, and I'm really confident if we play like we did for 4 of those 6 periods over the weekend, we'll give ourselves a great chance in the playoff run. So, thank you everyone for the support, and onwards and upwards.
And after, of course, gaining that second trophy in 2 years, an absolutely jubilant Lewis Clifford.
Yeah, so what a weekend, I suppose. The morning after the night before, struggled a little bit, but it was a fantastic weekend, I think, for anyone involved with us at Chelmsford, fans, players, staff. Ultimately we had an objective at the start of the weekend, which was to lift the trophy come Sunday night, and the boys got the job done. 2 different games, 2 battles, that neither were a gimme, neither were easy. Far from it, actually, far from it. I suppose recapping game by game, Saturday was, we always know when we go into that rink it's going to be tough. We have to change our mindset, we have to change the way we play, and we have to play the conditions that are in front of us, rather than sort of having an arrogance where we'll just come into a building and do what we want, which we have done in the past, and lost because of it. But we went in there with a plan, and we executed it, and to come away with a 4-1 win actually, was really better than I could have hoped. I would have probably took anything from probably really. I would have probably walked away from there with a 2-goal deficit and been like, I'm alright with that. Coming back home, obviously depending on the score on Saturday changes the mindset on Sunday, and it was, as much as I probably must have said between Saturday nights and Sunday face-off time, like, we go out 0-0, and I tried lots of different things to get that point across. It's always there in the back of your mind, and we knew that Solent had come back from a deficit against Slough in the semi-final, just the same as we had against Streatham in the semi-final, and we knew they wouldn't go away. Like, it was never a thing that Solent are just going to pack it in and let us win. Like, of course they're not. They want to win a trophy just as bad, if not more than we do. So, Sunday again, it was a bit of a war, a bit of a war of attrition at times. That was 2 teams there that were absolutely fully committed to try and win a trophy. There was guys going off getting stitched up. There was pucks in faces. There was, injuries all over the place. Physios coming on, and then having to, sort guys out, and they would return to action. And what a game ultimately. So, to win 4-1 away and then to win 5-4 at home, I think winning the game on the night was important for us with the way we were then able to celebrate the win, rather than win by 3 and lose by 2 and still go on to win the cup. I think it's very important to us to win the game on the night, and ultimately the boys came up with that. the crowds both days were absolutely ridiculous. So thanks to everyone who turned out. Like the noise in Solent, obviously they're basically in our bench, the way the ring's set up there. But the noise they were making on Saturday was outstanding. You know, we couldn't have asked for any more support than we got. And then Sunday, I was sitting outside in the rink, like just writing some notes, and the doors opened, and I was like, I need to get out of here quickly, get back behind the doors, because it was like a sea of people like coming through the door, and I was like, I just need to sort of stay on task here and not get caught up in all of this. But ultimately, as a supporter of a team, you want to see your team win trophies, and you have to play a part in that, especially in a sport like hockey in this country where the buildings are fairly small, and it's quite a personal thing between the fans and the players. And our fans absolutely helped us get over the line. It was phenomenal. So I'd just like to extend a massive thanks to them, everybody who came to one or both of the games this weekend. I'd just like to say thanks and really kind of, I don't want to be patronising, but say to Alex and the Devils, unlucky, because you know what, they easily could have won that cup. There was times on Saturday they looked like they could have easily won that cup. There was times on Sunday they looked like they were resurgent, and they were scored a couple of goals quickly in the first period. They scored a couple of goals in the second period, and I wouldn't say we were ever panicking, but there were certainly times when if a puck had bounced one way or the other, they could have gone on and tied the game, even led the game, and they were a solid opponent, and I think we knew that going in. There was not one point in the weekend or in the week of practice leading up to it where we just went, it's Solent, we're going to win. It was never a thing, and it will continue to be like that when we play them for the remainder of the season, and maybe even meet them again in the playoffs, like we did last year in the final. Absolute hats off to them. What they do with what they've got at their disposal is phenomenal year after year, and fair play to them. There was some shenanigans going on both nights between the teams, but what do you expect? It's a final. It's effectively a playoff game in the middle of the season, and no one on either team was going to back down, and that's absolutely the way it should be, absolutely. So we move on. One thing about trophies is when you wake up the next day, it's kind of yesterday's news, right? So we're going to enjoy the fact that we've got a new trophy and we've all got a medal, but pretty soon that'll get put on a shelf somewhere, and we start thinking about the next one. So we've got league games coming up for the next few weeks, but not long actually. I think we've got maybe 3-4 weeks left of league games, and then we're going to be starting from a fresh slate and starting the playoffs, and that's exciting. It's exciting for everybody. So now really the next kind of 4 weeks or whatever it is of league games, we kind of have to refine the way we play, iron some stuff out of our game that's been sort of bugging me recently, and get ready to go again. So just like to thank everybody involved, owners, players, my assistants, physios, everyone that was part of our team, all of the backroom staff. Obviously, like I already said, the fans were absolutely outstanding. Everyone at Solent for a hell of a game over 2 legs. And thanks, and we'll see you again. Looking forward to it. We played 2 home games this week, which is nice, I think, after that. But yeah, we'll see you all guys at the Riverside this weekend, hopefully. And we enjoy this while it lasts, and we use that as fuel to move on positively for the rest of the season.
Well, an absolute, as I said, an incredible advert for hockey at the third tier in the UK. It was just a terrific cup final, end to end, so many good goals, so many good plays. So much good stuff to come out of it, really, and nothing really too nasty. There was a little bit of pushy-shovey in the warm-ups. There was a couple of little roughing calls in there, but it was a game played in such a good spirit as both teams really just wanted to win it. There was, of course, those who were there would have seen, those who were following my updates on Twitter from the Sunday night would have heard that there was quite a nasty injury to Dan Fay, who took a puck to the face. A lot of blood on the ice that Zamboni had to come out and clean. I spoke to Dan on Monday, spent a bit of time in hospital. He was out by Monday night. He's doing really, really well now, so hopefully we see Dan back on the ice after that. Same with Charlie Wedge. Charlie Wedge kind of dived in front of a shot and took a stick to the face. We didn't see him again on the night. From what I understand, Charlie's recovering quite well. Alex Murray also took, I think it was a boot to the back of the head after he dived in front of a shot when Maltsev looked like certain for scoring for Chelmsford. So bodies being put on the line all over just showed how much both sides actually wanted it and wanted the result, because they were literally putting their heads and faces in front of pucks. So massive props to all the guys involved. Once again, a massive thank you to the Solent Devils for hosting me on Saturday night, and a huge, huge, huge thanks to Dan Strevens and family, who allowed me to hitchhike all the way down to Solent with them on the Saturday and back, of course. So thank you so much for getting me down there and getting me back. And congratulations to the Chelmsford Chieftains. It was actually really nice on the Sunday. Although I was doing Twitter updates, it was really nice for me to be in the crowd with the fans, especially stood with my daughter. We started to come and watch the Chieftains quite a few years ago now, and to sort of experience that together with my daughter and with the fans was fantastic. Of course, when we won the playoffs last year, I was up in the commentary gantry, so it was a kind of a different perspective for me on it, but this was an absolutely fantastic win. The trophy celebrations were amazing, and I'm sure the guys all had a cracking Sunday night as well. Let's move on to the other games that took place then in the Britain Division. Back to the Saturday then, and this rearranged fixture after one of the storms from late last year meant that Cardiff Fire couldn't actually get out of Wales to meet the Streatham Red Hawks. So as neither were in the cup final this weekend, it was rearranged for now. And it was, I'm going to say one-sided, but more like a competitive training session, I suppose, for Streatham. I think they got a chance to tinker with their lines, to really start getting some sort of set plays going in practice for what's going to be a really hard run-in for them to try and chase down the Slough Jets, starting with a game against them next week. The key thing for Streatham at the moment is that some of their top players are hitting form at exactly the right time. Danny Inglesby with 4 goals, 2 assists. Ziggy Beasley with 2 goals, 3 assists. It's really is showing that they're hitting form at the right time, and they're going to be so dangerous as we head towards the last few games of the season. Kind of a slow start, 3-0 after the first period, but in the second period they went goal crazy, scoring 8 goals inside sort of 16 and a half minutes in the second period. So absolutely astonishing stuff from Streatham. The shots on goal, tally from the end of the game. The game finished 12-0, but 91 shots to 11 is absolutely mind-blowing. Cardiff did change goalie as well throughout. Brocken Evans got himself 27 minutes or so, saving 30 shots from 33. So not too bad for young Brocken Evans there to go down to the high road and have a performance like that. But yeah, coming through with 4 goals from Danny Inglesby, 1 from Damon Porter, 2 from Ziggy Beasley, 1 from Roman Cathcart, Josh Ely Newman, Ryan Watt, and Luke Brittle and Aidan Doughty getting those 12 goals for the Streatham Red Hawks, who, as I said, they'll head into that game against Slough next week knowing that a win opens it all up again. Well, after his side won 12-0, let's hear Ben Painter's thoughts.
Yeah, this Saturday, obviously we played a rearranged fixture with Cardiff on home ice. Cardiff couldn't travel earlier in the year due to storms and weather issues. So yeah, obviously both teams had the weekend off due to not being in the cup final. And yeah, I mean from a game perspective, it was pretty one-sided. I'm not sure whether they were full strength or not, but they seemed to have plenty of guys available. I think first period we were a little bit cute. Obviously won the period. I think it was 2-0 or 3-0. 3-0 I think. Played some nice hockey, moved the puck well. Definitely felt a little bit flat in terms of the game. It wasn't too much going on. I think we had large parts of possession. Really, Cardiff just had some counter attacks which we dealt with really well, and Moot saved a couple of breakaways that was good for him. And yeah, I think the first period was really, quite flat, to be honest. And then into the second period, we tweaked the lines again slightly. And ultimately we spoke about some of the things we want to be doing a bit better. And I was obviously really happy. I think we won the period 8-0. Felt like we were just constantly scoring. And all were nice goals. No one sort of got selfish and things like that. I think sometimes when the scoreline's going that way, teams can get selfish, but we don't have that, and that was really good to see. And all the goals were really well worked goals, and a couple from in front and getting to the dirty areas, which is something we like to have in our game. And yeah, I was pleased with how we played in the second period, and then obviously being 11-0 up after two periods, I think the third was just a bit flat from both teams. Obviously it was a 1-0 period in the third, and ultimately I think Cardiff changed their goalie. He played really well. He made some really big stops. I think that gave them a little bit more momentum. And yeah, I think we ultimately it was a pretty one-sided game. So yeah. Another game, another win. We just keep looking forward now, and obviously we've got a massive weekend coming up with Slough away, which is obviously a big game at the top of the table. And then we travel to Swindon on the Sunday, which again they've proved that you can't take them lightly. They're a good team as well. So yeah, a real tough weekend of away games coming up for us. And then yeah, lastly, obviously congratulations to Chelmsford on their cup final win. Looks like they were good over both legs. I think Solent obviously looked like they were going to pull it back level in the at the start of the second leg. Sounds like a good game of hockey, and yeah. But ultimately, congratulations to them on picking up the first bit of silverware of the year for this division. So yeah, obviously we look back to the league, and we just keep going in the league and see how we go here.
Sunday night then saw the Cardiff Fire return home and face the Oxford City Stars. This sort of been billed as the battle for 8th, as these two sides are kind of going head-to-head for that final playoff position. There was a time a few weeks ago, actually, where Cardiff had about 5 games in hand. After this game, it's now only 1 game in hand, and it just goes to show the real difference that the new point structure is making in the league this season. A regulation win for Oxford probably would have taken them into 8th. As it happens, the game finished 2-2 and it went to a shootout. Cardiff taking the lead on the 10th minute through Aaron Reagan before Jake Williams pulled it back on the power play. Bailey Hine pitcher against his former club put Cardiff 2-1 up in the third, but a couple of minutes later, Sam Robinson levelled it up for 2-2. All through the shootout, and then Joe Covey taking the winning shootout penalty to give Oxford those 2 points. But had they have got all those points in regulation, they would have gone into 8th. As it happens, they stay in 9th. 1 point behind, and Cardiff have 1 game in hand, but that game in hand will be against the team from above them. So if they fail to get any points from that, Oxford do have a really big chance, but they have to keep getting points as well. Not a great night on the penalties for Sam Robinson. He made it to the box a couple of times there, 3 penalties in total for him, and I'm sure we might see a little bit of stuff in Dops next week, as right at the end of overtime, Bailey Hine pitcher and Morgan Parsons both received game for obscene gestures. So I'm sure we'll see a little bit about that in the Dops news next week. But after his side were kind of humbled at Streatham on Saturday night, and then in this really tough game on Sunday, let's see the thoughts of Cardiff Fire player coach Elis Sheppard.
A difficult weekend for the Fire this weekend. We went to Streatham with 14 guys, and I think our third line consisted of 2 D-men. A junior who has certainly earned his stripes, and 5 D-men collectively as well. It was always going to be a difficult task. Our first period, we held them to 3-0, which I thought was quite respectable. We had 2 breakaways, which we just couldn't convert, so it could have been a very much different story. I think Streatham really showed their class in the second period with just how clinical and how they've just walked the lead for the past few seasons as well. I think they went 9 goals unanswered, and it was a bit of a wake up call. Third period, I thought we did much better again. We held them to 1 goal, and it was certainly a game that I wanted to take into the Oxford game on the Sunday. And we talk about the Oxford game, and ultimately we lost in the penalty shootout. I can't really say we could change anything about our game on that Sunday. I thought we were by far the better team. We offered more offensively and shut off their chances. You know, they have a dubious first goal. We scored 2, which weren't credited to us as well. And at that point, it's a 4-1 game, and the game's potentially out of sight for us. But unfortunately, we then lose in penalties. Came up against Miller, who's probably one of the best goalies in the league as well, and he stood on his head all night. A frustrating weekend. That Sunday very much felt like we did everything in our power to win, and unfortunately the variables weren't with us.
And after his side took a much-needed 2 points, Oxford City Stars head coach Mark Saunders gave his thoughts to ZPG.
Another one-game weekend for the City Stars this weekend as we made the trip down to Cardiff to play the Cardiff Fire in the Vindicar Arena for the last time of the season in what's been a really closely contested mini-series between us. And it started off a pretty cagey affair. I think at the end of the first period, we just spoke about the fact that we were taking time to adjust to what is, you know, really big playing surface and something that we're not used to being in the Oxbens every week. And I just liked the way the boys took the time to adjust. We held onto the puck really well. We managed our efforts. We managed our forecheck really well. We took the time to press in good moments, to sit off in good moments, to allow, you know, the other team to make mistakes. And I thought we capitalised on the mistakes that they were making and build up pressure on that team really well. I was really pleased with the way that we managed to keep pucks in the O-zone. We managed to be a second and third wave attacking team last night, which I was really pleased with. It's something that we've been trying to work on in some of the more difficult games. And, you know, last night it was a difficult game, but in a different way. And it was a game that we needed to, you know, take a hold of. And I thought that possession-wise and chance-wise, we were definitely a team in the ascendancy. We just took a bit of time to start finishing. And ultimately, I think we looked the more dangerous of the teams throughout the night. Special mention must go to the officials and to the ref Brooks last night. I thought he was fantastic in the way that he let the game flow. Yeah, would you like a couple minors on either side so you can go to work on special teams? Yeah, probably. But I think that, you know, from the outset, he was very clear in the fact he was going to let the two teams try and battle this one out and play the game out. And I thought he was fantastic in what he did. I think the referees get a bit of a bad rap sometimes, you know, and sometimes justifiably so. But, you know, when praise is due, I think that's due as well. And I must say that I thought the trio that we had last night were fantastic in their management of the game. Obviously, we went to 65 minutes of play. We went to overtime, locked in at 2 each in regulation. We ended up having to kill a power play in the overtime period, which was pretty close. But we managed to get through it and get ourselves into penalty shots. And if I'm honest, with the way Ross Miller was playing last night, I had no doubt that we were going to be through in the penalty shots in the way that we wanted to be. Ross was stellar as always, and he always is in those penalty shot moments. And we had two players step up and tuck their penalty shots away really nicely. In Sam Robinson and Joe Covey. Those boys, you know, stepped up in a big moment last night. We knew we needed to take the points from that game, and we knew the pressure was on. And if we wanted to keep that eight spot, we needed to get the points out of that one last night. And those two boys stepped up as well with the other penalty takers and, you know, put away when we needed to put them away and kept the pressure on. And we managed to come out of there with, you know, yeah, we'd like to take it in regulation for the 3 points, but we took it in overtime and the shootout for the extra point. So 2 for us in the table, which gives us a better head-to-head than Cardiff. And 4 games left. It's going to go down to the wire. But I'd like to think that we're in the driving seat for that 8th spot, and we'll see where we are. But, yeah, I mean, you know, when you play a 4-game series against a team like that, you know that you're going to be locked in battle against each other for the 4 games. And, you know, things can spill over at times, and, you know, the games are really fiercely contested. But I must say, you know, at the end of the game that, you know, you kind of say, well done for a 4-game series that has played out 4 really closely contested games. Shake hands and you kind of see each other next season. So, yeah, you know, fair play to Cardiff in what was a hard-fought 4-game series. And, you know, I'm really pleased with the way that we managed to execute last night and come out with the 2 points and be victorious down in Cardiff in what was ultimately a tricky fixture. But, yeah, really pleased with the boys and the way they executed last night. And we look forward to the next 4 games and holding on to that 8th spot. I must also give a special, fantastic mention to all the Oxford fans that followed us down to Cardiff last night. There was banners, there was balloons, there was flags, there was all sorts behind our bench, and they were crazy loud all night. The boys heard you, we heard you, we fed off that all night, as we do at home. Special mention to those guys that came all the way down to Cardiff with us on a Sunday night, which is obviously a late one before everybody dusts off for work on a Monday morning. And last but not least, by very means not least, a fantastic, special, huge mention to Claire Smith, whose birthday is today on Monday. So happy birthday to Claire Smith, our team manager. I think, all the teams in the division have these unsung heroes that are behind the scenes, and teams don't run without people like Claire and everyone else that's involved in Oxford City Stars behind the scenes. But special mention to today has to go to Claire for her birthday. Happy birthday, Claire, from everybody at the team, and many happy returns.
Wow, what a cracking weekend of hockey. Let's have a look at the other games that took part in the NIHL Cup final weekend this week. Up to the north and in the Morley, these two sides have been going head-to-head year after year after year. Last year they went head-to-head in the league, the Cup final and the playoffs. It's looking like it could be the same this year. But this year the Billingham Stars, they got this one over the line. First leg they won 5-3, and then the second leg they lost 5-4. But they won the game 9-8 on aggregate, taking the cup final. I'd imagine those last couple of minutes were absolutely unbelievable, knowing if Blackburn would have got another goal, it would have forced overtime at 9-9. So I would love to see it. I think they're actually being shown on YouTube. The whole game, the second leg, will be shown on YouTube from 5:30 on Tuesday evening, I believe. So get yourself out there and have a look at that, because I bet that was an incredible game to watch as the Billingham Stars take the Morley Cup, and that's their little boost in the bank, ready to chase down that league title in the Morley next year, to make their way back to Coventry as league champions to see if they can take that national title this year, where they failed last year. Staying in the north then, let's have a look at the Laidler, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm always happy to be corrected if I am wrong. Telford Tigers take it for the third year in a row. The Sutton Sting and Telford Tigers have both had incredible seasons. They're both 22 from 23 at the top of the league. The Tigers are top just at the moment on head-to-head. But the first leg, the Tigers won 5-4. And the second leg, they won 4-2, giving it a 9-6 aggregate score in the end. Congratulations to everybody involved with the Telford Tigers 2 side. I know Scott McKenzie was involved there a couple of years ago. I'm not too sure if he's still involved with the second side there. But absolutely brilliant stuff for them. 3 years on the trot to win that cup. And then into the south, the Wilkinson Cup final. Again, these two are the ones going head-to-head at the top of the NIHL 2 South. Peterborough have actually finished their league games now. They're just waiting for Guildford. There's 4 games between them, and there is 10 points between them. So it is in Guildford's hands to try and get themselves to that magic 50-point mark and take the lead from the Peterborough Phantoms and win the title. But they couldn't win the cup. The first leg down at the Spectrum in Guildford saw a 5-1 victory for the Peterborough Phantoms, which we all know anything can happen in ice hockey. You thought that might have done it for them. It was a little bit closer on the Sunday night as the Guildford Phoenix took the game by 5-4, but that resulted in a 6-9 aggregate win for the Peterborough Phantoms. Former guest of the show, Ross Clark, actually was in that Peterborough Phantoms side that won the cup there, so congratulations to Ross. And Nathan Pollard, of course, who was on with the playoff finals last year. So everyone involved at Peterborough, congratulations on winning that cup. I'll tell you, the end of that league season is going to be mighty, mighty exciting. Let's have a look at the Britain division then. I think there's only really that one move in the table, but as we move into next week's games, Slough Jets, they've played 30, won 25, they've got 80 points. Streatham Redhawks right behind them, played 30, won 25, but just that one extra defeat. The only other defeat that Slough had was an overtime one. So that's where the 1 point difference comes from. Saturday's game is going to be massive. Chieftains are now 14 points back, but then they're also 8 points clear of Solent in 4th, so it's pretty much where they're going to finish, I would imagine, is 3rd. Solent in 4th with 57 points. The Invicta Dynamos, they'll be back this weekend. They're in 5th with 48 points. 1 game less than them in 6th is the Romford Buccaneers. 4 games back, but once they play the Invicta Dynamos again, they can overtake. And that 6th place is going to be the one that faces Chelmsford in the playoffs, so that's going to be teams vying for that. Swindon Wildcats, of course, last week they qualified for the playoffs. They are now in 7th, and that is pretty much where they're going to stay. They're 5 points back from Romford, but Romford have 3 games in hand, so I'd imagine 7th is exactly where Swindon are going to finish, and they will play the team that finishes 2nd in the league. And then that battle for 8th that took place this week, at the moment it's Cardiff's. Oxford are right behind them. They need to start picking up some more points and hope that Cardiff drop one along the way. And then the Milton Keynes Thunder, they've played 31. They've won 1, they've lost 30. They've got 3 points just at the bottom of the table there. But everyone will be back next week trying to fight for more points. Let's have a look at the stars of the week then for this week in the Britain division. Well, coming in third for our stars of the week, he had a fantastic weekend and was incredibly unlucky to end up on the losing side in the Britain Cup final with 2 goals and 1 assist, but also just playing 2 cracking games, getting man of the match on the Sunday. Solent Devils' Liam Coleman. Coming in second star of the week, it's the Chelmsford Chieftains man, Halden Barnes-Garner. He had an absolutely fantastic weekend. He was virtually unplayable both days, coming away with 3 goals and 2 assists from the weekend. But taking the star of the week this week, as Streatham Redhawks start hitting form in the run-in with those final 6 games to come, this man has hit form at exactly the right time. Danny Inglesby takes it with 4 goals and 2 assists from this weekend's games. Let's have a look at your fixtures for next week then. Well, Saturday next week, the 1st of March, I will be doing Hockey Night Live. So if you're not going to a game and you can't get to one, stick us on YouTube. We will keep you up to date with everything that's going on across the NIHL, NIHL 1 North and South, and NIHL 2 North and South, plus any WNIHL that is going on at the same time as well. All of the details will be here on Hockey Night Live with me. So, Saturday, 5:45 at the Riverside, Chelmsford Chieftains versus Cardiff Fire. Obviously, as we said, Cardiff now can't really afford to drop points because Oxford are coming up right behind them. This is a really hard test as they go in and face the Britain Cup champions at the Riverside. Anyone that's going to the Riverside who wants to give me live game updates for Hockey Night Live, please get in touch. That will be really, really handy. Also, 5:45 on the Saturday night, Invicta Dynamos versus Romford Buccaneers. Wow. 5th versus 6th. What an incredible game that is going to be. They're both vying to finish as high as they can, or are they maybe? You know, who wants to avoid Solent? Who wants to avoid Chelmsford? I know that Invicta and Solent have had some cracking power play games, playoff games in the last couple of years. The Romford versus Chelmsford one, that derby field just would make that really unpredictable. So 5:45 at the stables for Dynamos versus Buccaneers. 6:30 p.m. at the High Road, though. This is the game. This is the game of the weekend. Slough Jets, Streatham Redhawks. Top 2 go head-to-head. 1 point between them. What's going to happen? Who's got any idea? Any idea at all? So far, the games between those 2 this season have been absolutely mind-blowing. I can't imagine this one's going to be any less. But that is 3 fantastic Saturday night games in the Britain Division. And we'll keep you up to date on all of them on Hockey Night Live on the Zero Pucks Given YouTube channel. Into the Sunday, the 2nd of March, 5:15 at the Sapphire, the Romford Buccaneers welcome the Solent Devils. With those 2 games, Romford could really actually nail their post to the mast for that 5th place in the playoffs if they can pick up 6 points from this weekend. But it's going to be incredibly tough as the Devils visit the Sapphire on Sunday evening at 5:15. 6 p.m. at the Riverside, the Invicta Dynamos are in town to face the Chelmsford Chieftains as they've got a home double weekender, which is a nice one. I'll only be at one, unfortunately. I'll be at the Sunday game against the Invicta Dynamos. It'd be great to see all the guys from Kent up there. 6:15 at the Ox Pens, the Oxford City Stars welcome the Slough Jets. We said they have to start picking up points. You don't start much harder than that. The Slough Jets are in town at 6:15 at the Ox Pens. And 6:30 at the Link Centre. Sunday night at the Link Centre causes everybody problems. Will it cause problems for the Streatham Redhawks? They make the trip up there with a double away weekend. What incredible weekend of Britain Division hockey that is. 7 games, something on the line in each and every one of them. Absolutely brilliant stuff. Well, thank you so much for listening to the Roundup episode. We've had a bit of a cup final special. Massive thanks again to the Solent Devils for hosting me on Saturday night, and again to the Strevens family for getting me there and getting me home. Huge thanks to Cliff and Muzzer for giving me a little bit of their time before the game, and then of course for sending in their thoughts afterwards, and of course to Ben, to Elis and Mark for sending in their thoughts as they all do week in, week out. This podcast wouldn't be the same without your guys' input. Thank you all for listening. See you next time.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
At your job, do you ever have to deal with a nose roller? How about a snub pulley? Well, if you're installing a new conveyor belt system, dealing with the different components can sound like you're speaking a foreign language. Luckily, you've got a team ready to help. Grainger's technical product specialists are fluent in maintenance, repair, and operations. So whenever you want to talk shop, just reach out. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.